Good morning, good evening, good night. NFT Live Web3 Network. We're bringing you the latest news from around the NFT and Web3 space, all into one episode. Hopefully, in an hour's time, we can have you guys all caught up on what's happening in the space. I've got a quad box today. Biggie Poppins, Dax, Gifted. We are going to get after it. Thank you to those who, are sitting there watching NFT Live, that are watching live here on either Twitter, X, Twitch, or YouTube, that aren't complaining about when we start. Thank you for understanding how hard it is to coordinate all of these individuals and how hard it is to kind of throw together these shows. I appreciate you guys so much, our Vibe Art tribe. Excited to go around the quad box today. Let's do something different. Let's go counterclockwise. Gifted, what's up, dude?
I'm just not ready, Q. You usually give me a whole other minute to get. No, I'm here, man. We're alive. I didn't sleep at all last night, and it doesn't matter because the show must go on. We had a great GM Web3. Dax, who's joining us via the library Wi-Fi, was our special guest today. We did a hashtag Tech Tuesday, and we're gonna get into more of that here. And that's it, man. I don't know. No sleep. Doesn't matter. We're gonna have a great show and a great
Dax, day. How are we doing today, brother?
Doing pretty good. Woke up early, got my confirmation for ETH Global this morning, and flying out, figuring out flights, all that good stuff this morning.
I appreciate you joining us. Biggie Poppins, he is getting ready for a big event. It's going to pain me to bring it up, but he made some time to stop by NFT Live. Biggie, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm ecstatic. Of course, I wasn't going to miss out saying hello to my fam, especially since it's Marfa week, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Like they pulled out all the stops for this year. I think it's gonna be a game changer. I'm sure once it's over and we come back, there'll be lots to talk about. And a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not even sure what the hell's going to happen, but it's going to be awesome.
I like there's some official Sonic branding now for Marfa Week. Like that. Marfa Week. That's we like to make jingles and songs for all of the big things.
Like, can you imagine, GIF? Like, I feel like Willy Wonka, right? Like imagine, like you always have to travel somewhere else to, go to these events, LA, New York, Chicago, fucking Miami, whatever. And all of a sudden, one day, something that you totally love decides that they're going to have their main event every year, like right in your backyard. Like, how fucking cool is that? I mean, it's insane.
I wish I knew it.
Blessed.
I wish I knew what that was like here in LA. No, that's awesome. I'm very excited and again very jealous. Speaking of events, Dax has also been at Permissionless and now ETH Global. So yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about events. It seems like the summer we kind of more or less had a little bit of a pause on the tour, the conference tour, but it's heating back up again now, it seems.
All right, we are going to get into the episode very quickly as well. Dax has some insider knowledge here about what's going on with MetaMask snaps as well. So can't wait to dive deep here with him as well early in the episode. Guys that are here early, guys and gals, Jessica Trofsky is here saying, Biggie, are you reading off a teleprompter? We have Sneak Doctor, nice to see you in the house, saying hi. Prodigy is complaining about the start time per usual. So good to see him. Listen, I'm not going to bring up the fact that Prodigy beat me one-on-one in Rec League last night, but I might. So, yeah, we had a duel. We actually got queued up together. He got me good. I'm not gonna rest there.
I was watching you both play. I'm shocked. He's very bad. He's not good. So what does that say about you? I'm honestly I'm losing respect. Over this.
I'm surprised you had any left. I do have one person that I want to give a huge shout out to. Actually, two, because Eric was on YouTube giving us some flowers for the rehash. So we do rehash in both video and X post form, so like a thread format. And Poppy is saying, I love this rehash, get to catch up on all the goods and not have to live here 24/7. That is the reason we do them. That is the benefit that you get. You don't have to be on the front lines always to figure out what's happening in the NFT space, we're here to do that for you. So definitely some love there, as well as Eric that is watching on YouTube. We appreciate you. Justin Casey, Valves on Twitch. We see you guys. Gift, let's hit them with the disclaimer and let's get off and rolling, man.
Look, the disclaimer is that I may have made some mistakes. There were mistakes made with the wallet that I control. All right. And no, the disclaimer is that this is not financial advice. Of course, we're not financial advisors. Despite what Felipe would have you believe over there in the chat, do not listen to this man. Nothing that we say is financial advice. Always do your own research. The info is found publicly on the interwebs. Yeah, that's it. Do your own research. Always.
All right, so here's what I'm looking at today from a news standpoint. I think we want to hit Dax early in the episode. I don't want to keep him too long if he doesn't want to chop it up with us and has to do some other things. It sounds like he's got some cool things happening here in Austin. But anyways, I've got Pudgy Penguins coming out with a brave new world announcement. I've got Huxley Generative AI avatars making a splash. Yat Siu, or Ysiu, I should say, put out a APE proposal that is very similar to Machi Big Brothers. That's very contentious, but apparently Yat is just a man of the people, and they're trying to pass his proposal at like an 80% rate, saying yes at this point. Parallel trading card game came out with their Echoes update, Friend Tech updates, Art Block CTO stepping down, 10K TFG tags. Just getting all over it, man. Just all over the place today.
So I wasn't aware of the Yat Siu competing AIP proposal. And my one question on this is like, what if this passes, like, do they have to be mutually exclusive? Can only one pass, or like can both pass?
Just pass all of them, man. Just spend all the APE. Just why not 10 of these? let's just make APE go to 0. Yeah, no, they're not. I don't think they're contentious. I think Yat was actually saying that they're not related, but they can be collaborative proposals. I think
complementary. Okay, all right,
something like that. But guys, we just started NFT Live here today. I'm going to drop a link. If you could go and give that a like, I would appreciate it very much. It definitely helps get the word out as we start the episode. All right, Dax. We did a little bit of the run up. For those of you that are here afterwards that are just looking for quick news, just hit the timestamp. We got it there for you. But Dax, I want to dive deep into what you're, building, what you've got going on today. I appreciate you coming on now for a second time in 2 weeks. So what's going on with you, brother?
Oh, a lot. Like you said, we just had permissionless. We just got back from permissionless. We're headed out to New York this weekend for ETH Global. That's going to be my first ETH Global conference. I know a lot of you guys have been to like ETH Denver, and that's always a big one that we're doing. But I'm excited to be doing some of the hackathon stuff, putting together demos, and working with the community, because permissionless was like our big launch of snaps, of the SDK, of products that we've been working on for a while. And so ETH Global, we're going to go out there. We're going to be part of the community. We're going to be, heads down, building with members of the community all throughout the weekend and the events. So that's just a little bit of what we're doing. And then we got to get into, snaps and the SDK and the new CLI tool we're building. So we got plenty to talk about, whatever you guys want to work with.
If I know you hosted the GM Web3 morning show here, you were talking with Dax. So your biggest takeaway is what you'd like to kind of ask him. And then folks, we do have Dax here for about 20 minutes talking about ETH Global and what he's got going on over there. So if you have any questions for him, but Gif, kind of lead this one, man.
I mean, look, Dax is a legit big brain, 200 IQ GigaChad dev working on the MetaMask team. So it's a rare chance. I mean, he's also like a nuclear physicist or some shit. I don't know.
Whatever. You're getting paid. You're on his payroll. Got it.
No, the point is like it's having him as a guest is a rare chance for us to dig into the more technical dev side of things and to try and get an understanding of like what that's like, what's actually happening behind all of the front end and all the things that we're talking about with the projects and the use cases and the applications. Like, what does it really look like to be building, at the ground level of creating the infrastructure that we all need for this to actually become, adopted, the mainstream adoption that we all talk about. One of the takeaways that I had on the morning show was getting more detailed understanding of how complicated a lot of the processes that we kind of take for granted already in the space are, like even something that seems as mundane as just connecting your wallet to a website or something like that. You know, you were explaining, Dax, that there's like 5 or 6 different processes that happen behind the scenes just to connect a wallet. And part of that being because there's currency, there's security, there's all these different things. So to me, that, like, I think that that's maybe an interesting place to start for those of us. Like why does it feel like it's so slow, or the UI is so bad sometimes, or why does it feel like the applications just aren't that great yet? I felt like you were kind of giving some insight into that, the challenges.
Yeah, so there are a ton of challenges that we face, not just with connecting to wallet and security, but just from a UI standpoint, the way in which we have built things ever since 2012 with React and server-side frameworks and state machines and crazy nerd stuff that we talk about all day long, all over on tech Twitter and argue about. It's those inherent technologies are just not compatible with how we interact with the wallet nowadays. Like, I kid you not, one of the demos up on stage for the SDK is nothing more than the command line spitting out, what would you like to do with this wallet? Get balance, get chain that it's connected to. And then the command line goes through and grabs it from the SDK, which is a fundamentally different way of doing it from how all the browsers are currently doing it, which is grab the Ethereum object, do these 5 things, and then come back with the wallet address. So, you know, that was one of our big excitements that we had at Permissionless that I was on stage demoing, was like, look, one call to make one change, which was super exciting. And we're going to move to that SDK. And I think I talked about it in previous spaces. But no, you're absolutely right. We've created layers of abstraction that worked really, really well for Web 2. But now we're trying to jam in Web3 into all different parts of these abstractions stack that we've been building, and it's just not working for us. We're getting clunky machines that are slow to use, a complicated UI that hands information left to right, up to down, not the way you're supposed to go. All data is supposed to come down from the top component all the way down in the hierarchy, and Web3 does not do that, because we're not getting information from the server, we're getting it from your wallet, we're getting it from the chain. So that's one of the biggest paradigm shifts that we're still trying to figure out how to do that best. And when that's solved, then we can go through the process of refining UI, refining user experience, and doing all those things that make, you know, such a buttery smooth web experience that we all love. Trust me, I'm in the boat with you. Like, I want a buttery smooth Web3 experience.
I like how you say that, buttery smooth, like, you know, just feel like putting it on toast. When you're talking about handing off like information, right, Dax, like we're talking about, you know, exposing, like you said, your wallet, which obviously leaves you open to way more information than maybe you were meant to give out in the first place, right? Say you're trying to just log into some email service or something with your wallet. I imagine like a big component of that is some type of ZK mechanism, right? Where you just expose what you want. Would that be like one of the main priorities that you guys are looking into right now?
Well, sure, that's part of it, but that's more of kind of our on-chain team. So what I'm talking about is, like, if we go functional or component-based development, it's a methodology, it's a paradigm, right? A button is a function, okay? And then your top bar is another set of components. And then the drop-down is a sub-component. Literally, the data has to be handed from the parent component to the child, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So I'm not even talking about security things. I'm talking knock, knock wallet. What is the address that is currently signed in? Oh, okay. Now I have to hand that down from the top of the web page to the top bar, to the component bar, to the login button bar. And then I have to pass it to the login button, and then the login button has to decide, okay, now I switch states. Like, that's the process we have to go to just on the front end when you click. Yeah, so we need to clean all of that up before we even do, you know, the ZKPs and grabbing things from chain and the intermediaries that's happening on oracles and servers and all that nerdy stuff. I'm literally talking about handing things from one button to another within the same web page. It's a nightmare.
Dax, you were
Wow,
talking
man.
about being
Dang, that's awesome.
on tech Twitter. Obviously, we spend our time a lot on NFT Twitter and a little bit of Web3 Twitter mixed in. I feel like Web3 Twitter is almost a conglomerate of all of these different sectors. Specifically for NFTs and tech, where do you see a pain point that hasn't been addressed yet with that specific sector, that technology, from your eyes being a hardcore developer?
For me, it's what I'm focusing on. My job is, I truly believe that good user experience comes from good developer experience. That's why my passion is developer experience. I don't know if anyone here has ever used Vercel or any of their one-click deployment systems, but I want to make the developer experience feel like it's Vercel, where you go, oh, this is all my code. I'm going to click one button. Vercel goes, shoop, there's all the code, and deploys it. You now have an instant website that's on a decentralized, edge function optimized, analytics built in, beautiful UI. Like, everyone should go try to deploy something on Vercel, even if you're not a developer. Like, just go see how buttery smooth that experience is, and now bring it back. And all those components and pieces that I've been talking about just on the front end quick piece, I want to simplify that all down so that when you're building your next Web3 project, your developers aren't taking 3 weeks to wire those buttons together to figure out a good experience. We're building a command line tool over at Consensus, over at MetaMask, that allows us to do all that with one command. The system will set it all up for you in one command. So instead of 3 weeks of wiring buttons together inside somebody else's template and then reskinning the whole thing for your project, you can have a completely customized UI set up and ready for you.
Nice, man. So it's like back end, infra Legos.
Yeah,
for
well,
easy deployment. That's awesome. That's what we need.
Like, when he talks about layers of abstraction, I keep thinking about things like, what you see is what you get, WordPress, Squarespace, and all these different things. You talk about Web 2's done that well, but we just don't have that yet. And hopefully, we're going to get there in the not too distant future. I want to kind of wrap up this tech focused convo with the Snaps product, which is this new interoperable open source sandbox dev kind of platform that y'all have within the MetaMask wallet. How does that kind of what does success look like for Snaps? What are you doing at ETH Global? I know you're doing like bugs and things like this, but like where are you hoping that Snaps can take MetaMask and the whole sort of wallet experience in the next year or two?
The end goal is that it's a developer playground. Success for us at MetaMask, or at least for me personally, if I see Snaps as a success, is the ability to create an ecosystem and a marketplace that does not operate, but looks like the Apple Store. What Apple did for apps and mobile smartphones, we want to be able to do for the MetaMask wallet experience. We want developers to be able to come on board and be like, here's a Snap. Here is something new that you can do to extend the functionality of MetaMask, be part of our ecosystem, be part of our environment. In a year, personally, I would love to see us move from our 20 initial companies that we're partnering with, thank you, those exact 20s, to an open platform where developers can sign on and publish their own Snaps experiences, just like the VR marketplace, just like the Apple App Store, the Android Google Store. Being able to come in and publish these brand new experiences on chain within the MetaMask ecosystem is really what I'm excited to see over the next year.
All right, Dax, we are moving on into the news here. Any last pieces you want to get for ETH Global or for what you're building, man? I'll drop any of the links as well that you're dropping in private chat for those folks to follow you and to make sure that they're keeping up with what you got building.
Absolutely. No, I think it's going to be the same thing I always say, whether you're a builder, artist, creative, or whatever, go build shit. You'll learn more from failure than you ever will from success. So just go try something out.
Right on, man.
Awesome.
Thanks,
I'm dropping that link there in chat to see beta.dax there, so you guys can check it out. I'm going to drop his link in chat, and Dax is going to be more of a participant here on the network in multiple different ways. So excited to have you again, man. If you want to stick around and talk NFTs with us and talk what's happening in Web3, definitely do. I know you're building a ton, but yeah, stick around, talk with us. We'll see what we can get into. But Biggie, did you have something there?
No, man, I'm excited to have Dax with us. You know, it's always really cool to have somebody that can really explain all the back works, the nitty gritty. You know, like I dig that stuff. So it's great to have you here, man.
It's just it's empowering for all of us to get a better understanding, which is why we try and do our best, you know, where we can to fill in some of that stuff. And yeah, so Dax is going to be helping us fill in a lot of those blanks that we don't always talk that much about. It's pretty awesome.
All right, I have a piece of quick news as we transition. Thank you guys for tuning in again. We're about 20 minutes into the episode and a lot to cover. This piece of very quick news I saw from Chris Berniski over there at ARK Invest, and it kind of has a little bit of tie into Dax, obviously being a developer. He's saying in 2018, the U.S. was home to 42% of the world's open source blockchain developers. According to Electric Capital, by 2022, that figure dropped by 29%. Dax, is this something you're seeing in like real time? Like, I just wanted to let people, kind of be aware that Chris was talking about this, but on the front lines, are you seeing that more developers are either springing up overseas or even moving away from the U.S.?
Well, I think these numbers are also skewed a little bit by the fact of where the market sits, a little bit as well. Because I would say that with just generally less players in the space, you're going to see those numbers shift. And we saw that like a lot of open source players died out after 2021. So yeah, but like even the RAD team, right? Like Rapid Application Development team, the team that I'm on in MetaMask, I'm the only US based developer on that whole team. So it's we've got talent all over, and I do love that blockchain is pulling from talent all over the world, and it's not just a US-led market thing, because we have different legislation and different things holding us back here. So having devs in other countries means we get to experiment more and play around with new things and new tech. So I'm excited to see it. I would definitely agree with that statement. I'd also say that some of those numbers were significantly skewed by the fact that we had large people exiting the market.
All right, guys, we're Trailer Maxis here. So the next piece is going to be about Proof and what they're doing with Foundry. Biggie Poppins, man, before I get there, though, I need you to answer for Kevin Rose here and his rebrand on his profile. Are you kidding me? What is this, LinkedIn?
Dude, it's hilarious, man. I love it. So I actually jumped on. This is like he's trying out his friend Addison's new app. It's like so Addison, the guy that founded 8-Bit, he started this AI prompt service called Prompt Hunter, and he recently came out with this other new like profile picture AI, right? Like for headshots, and it's like so many others that we've seen, right? That you can go in and you can pick like if you want a 1920s style headshot or this or that. So he's trying it. I think it looks good. It looks like a I don't know, like
it looks like he just founded IBM.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's hilarious.
All right, I'm gonna get into. I appreciate your defense of Kevin there, Biggie. But
I'll tell you, I jumped into it too myself. I can show you a couple of shots.
I would love to see that.
Yes, we should all show up with those as our PFPs or bring them into the show tomorrow.
All right, Trailer Maxis here. Oh, Trailer Maxis Foundry by Proof. Let's jump in. I'll see you on the other side.
What united Kevin and I before we called it Proof was our love of art. What the blockchain enabled for me was the first time I could ever be a patron of somebody I believed in and said, I love what you're creating. And I get that this isn't hosted in the Guggenheim. I get that this isn't the MoMA at this point. An art collector is somebody that you hire somebody to tell you what art you can put in your one of 4 houses. And now, whether you knew it or not, because maybe you never consider yourself an art collector, you're owning something that feels like I'm a part of not only your journey, but now it's mine to be able to hold on to. That means everything to me. And that changed the game and my understanding of digital collectibles in a very big way.
Biggie, who is talking here? It's not Cairo, is it?
No, that's his partner, Justin Mazel.
Got it.
The artist behind Moonbirds and all that. Yeah.
What I hope that Proof continues to build is a great relationship to support artists, a great community to come by and to continue to be a part of that, to be patrons. We built a great ecosystem with access, opportunity for everybody who's a part of it. And I think we build a very big family that cares deeply about our impact on this world and why art matters. And honestly, there's going to be fun experiences. There's going to be gamified experiences. There's going to be fun things to do if you're not yet sold on it, but you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of art curious, but I don't really get how all those are. That's okay. We'll work with you on that. But I really believe in telling these stories and sharing in this journey. It's an open road.
All right, kind of a love story to Moonbirds as well there. But Biggie, tell us what's going on with Foundry and what that trailer was all about.
Well, it's super cool. It's a space that they leased out for like 6 months. So this is the space that originally was earpin for the conference that they were going to have, right? And obviously that didn't happen. And the people there, in the space gave them credit to use as they wish, whether it's to launch the conference again or do something else. And I think the team did a magnificent job in pivoting and said, hey, let's lease out this gallery space for the next 6 months and make it like a co-working, like NFT display kind of like space, and so that's what's been going on right now. At the moment, we have the Diamond exhibition there that you can go check out in downtown LA at the Row if you want to go. And additionally, they've hosted a couple of 100 proof events and gatherings for NFT people. I'm stoked. I haven't been, but I've heard great things about it, and I'm gonna be heading out there right after Marfa for 100 proof and a couple of other events that is gonna be going on there. So if you're in LA, you should definitely look it out. It's not only for proof or Moonbirds, it's open to the public. You should just check out. They're having really cool events constantly, and it's, I think, moving forward with their, with their North Star of exposing more people to NFTs and the communities built around them, and try to onboard as many as you can. I think it's awesome.
And the cool thing, from my understanding, Biggie, because we talked about this before, is that as a holder of their NFTs, though, you do potentially have the ability to host your own events there, right? To curate.
That is correct.
Kind of so that's actually cool. But as far as like access, they're providing this not just as like a cool hangout location, but potentially as a service to holders to be able to host their own events. So that's really cool, man. And yeah, again, when you come out here, Biggie, I really hope that we get to link up and maybe go to one of those events.
Heck yes, brother. I'm stoked, man. I can't wait. You're muted.
You're muted, big dog. Look at this guy.
I'm trying my best, folks. I'm really trying my best. All right. We wanted to give a quick follow-up for Aavegotchi here because they were announcing, hey, we got something coming up this week. It looks like an update to the Aavegotchi DApp, meaning the game center here. Yeah, Dax, dude, give us a peace sign, man. I know you gotta roll out, but yeah, give us a quick peace sign. Appreciate you again. Thank you.
Yeah, bro. We'll see you again soon, man.
All right, so the Aavegotchi Game Center, again, this is going to have to deal with, I think, just updating their user experience from trying to find these games. They said today's launch features 2 live games and 7 upcoming games. Let's briefly look at each. So you've got a couple metaverse games. There's Gotchi Guardians, which is their tower defense game. So they're building out a little bit of a studio here within the Gotchi gang and Aavegotchi and Pixelcraft Studio. So really again, they've been super awesome with us. And I think we've been supporters of them from the very beginning. Unfortunately, we're not wearing our sweaters though. So
it's not Christmas yet.
Yo, we slept on that. We were, y'all, come on. We said we were going to wear the sweaters together. Q. I feel like we let the people down, not just the Gotchi gang. I feel like we really let ourselves down by not. I
sweat in it when it's not cold outside. It gets a little sweaty. It gets a little.
That's what sweaters do.
It's true. You're not wrong. All right, Marty McFly says looks like Weezer Cairo. Dax was commenting on a couple comments as well. DP saying, "Bro only had the top button on his shirt buttoned up. Complete violation." Knox. Good to see you cooking as always. All right, we are going to move on. Seemed like the community sentiment around this Huxley drop, and I feel like anything Huxley does at this point is fantastic. This one is, par for the course. Huxley AI generative process. Biggie, you actually revealed a pretty rare one, if I'm not mistaken. So another dub for Biggie Poppins. What's new? I don't know. I need to get your manual, dude. You need to make a guide.
So I
you
shared the link to the OpenSea so you can check out the other AIs. They're fantastic, man. Huxley is like one of those OG NFT products. It was like one of those early ones that I got into, and I've diamond handed the living shit out of it day one. You can't bet against that team and what they're building. I think it's just super cool. And I love this new innovative approach that the team took for the AIs and I forget the engine that they used. It's like this insane particle engine, but it's like on the level of kind of what Rafik is using, right? To generate these like really cool artificial intelligences that are going to have a role to play in the ecosystem. And they've been really tight-lipped about what they're going to do. But if you look at the different styles that they have, right? Like they have good ones, neutral ones, and evil ones. The rarest one I pulled is an evil one, but it looks like HAL, like an octagonal HAL. And I'm looking forward to just wreaking havoc in the ecosystem once they go live. It's going to be cool.
This is a really cool sort of expansion or addition to the Huxley Saga ecosystem. I'm not gonna lie, I don't fully understand yet how it fits into the story.
Yeah, what's the utility?
So just how does it? Yeah, tell us how this fits, because like Huxley Saga is based around comic books and a whole world, right? And so then you've got a couple different avatars. You've got humans, robots,
and then you have
AI.
the
comics. And so are these AI going to be PFP characters of some kind, or they're just like amoeba, like AI intelligences that somehow fit?
It remains to be seen. Like I asked them on their live spaces during the reveal, and they were pretty tight-lipped about it. But like you could literally hear them having like a smirk on their face. Like, and again, like if you look at the rarities and the different styles, you can kind of tell where they're going with it. But in the comic books, GIF, like they already hint at their existence, right? And like, but there's no like central character for it. So I think they're just gonna be omnipresent, maybe in like different areas of the world. I'm not sure in the story how they're gonna play out. I can totally see them in the game having, different functions, right? Like in the battles and stuff like that. So I'm looking really forward. And this is Titan. This is like the highest tier one. And the story of this one was crazy because one of the guy that got it, like literally swept the floor like last minute, like just bought like a couple of extras. And one of those was Titan. And it's like one of one, the rarest of them all. I feel sorry for the guy that sold it.
How many are there? Is it 1,000?
Like that 3,000 and some.
3,000. Okay.
Dude, so right after this convo, because I think you're staying at Huxley for at least a minute longer, but did you hear what happened with Marty? With the squiggle? And because we haven't had you
the Yamamoto new protocol the can of worms that Yamamoto opened up with squiggle rarities. I completely recall my heartfelt sentiments out to you, Marty.
Okay, I don't want to skip on to that one. Let's finish out with Huxley, but I do want your take on what Yamamoto was able to find out about this metadata, like I would say error, but I think Snowfro used anomaly in his post to the community. So
I mean,
let's touch on that after. Let's hit Huxley real quick. So you got a tier 5 utility wise. You're thinking this is going to be some type of play into their metaverse again, or their
so I think I don't know if you recall watching like the like one of the betas for the game where you get to walk around the world and battle, I think, as a human. So we have yet to see the functionality of the robots and the AIs, but I think they're going to come to bear within the gameplay as well. Again, like the Huxley team is notorious for keeping things, really hush hush, and they're excellent at it, and I appreciate it. Sometimes it's a little annoying, but I have a total trust in the team and what they're gonna do to incorporate it into the story and everything. And if you notice, like also like the AIs have different characters, you know, that come through, and from like I think tier 5 and up, they're static images where you can actually see what the AI looks like. But the others, like which I find phenomenal, like the tier 1s and 2 and 3, the ones that have all the particle motion, like they form different shapes. I was lucky enough to get one that I think looks like a bird or an owl, so that's cool. Again, no clue how it's going to play into this, but I can't wait, man. There's still some really cool things in the roadmap up ahead. I want to see how they close out the year, because we're going to have the access passes and then the vault, which is what everybody's kind of like diamond handing their comics for. It's definitely had like its complexity, right? But as you can see, it's a very vast world that they're building, and I think they're aiming to be around for a while, you know. It's an ambitious project. And I think that last character that you saw there, like I think the AIs are going to have something to do with that dude.
It's a super ambitious project, and I've got one or two of the comics NFTs. It's something that we've highlighted and talked about all along. It just seems like if Ben can stay true like he's been doing for the last couple of years, this is going to turn out to be one of the greatest, you know, sort of Web3 IP projects ever created. The thing is, what most people don't understand about this one is that he literally was building this world and these characters and this lore for 10 years before like NFTs even existed. And then the technology just happened to come around at a time when he was like looking for, what's my distribution mechanism? How do I do this and maintain control over it the way that I want? He didn't want to go to like, you know, the traditional studios and give up the control over this thing that he'd worked on forever. And so he used Web3 as his way to manufacture and distribute and maintain control over this thing that he loves. And yeah, man, it's just there. He is a top quality concept artist, was working on some of the biggest video games in the history of video games. And now this is what he's doing full time. And it's just, there's so few products and projects that actually have good IP, as we know. But this one is just cool.
Jessie Yatrovsky is probably long gone, but one of the questions she had on the GM Web3 morning show here this morning was, or I guess more of a statement, was saying how well On-Chain Summer played out. And On-Chain Summer played out extremely well for Parallel. Like their card pack drop and beta release at the exact same time was fantastic for them. And I put Parallel in the same kind of pantheon that I put with Huxley. They've been in the background. They've been building out. You can tell that there's soul in the project. They've been under the radar because they don't chase the flashy lights of the secondary collection, at least in the way that we know it. And those two projects are now coming to fruition, man. It's super cool to see, man, because they're just displaying everything you can do the right way.
Yeah, they both have a lot of depth and quality. And yeah, man. And it says, like, Asmodee is saying, YouTuber Dior is saying this is the most balanced patch yet for Parallel. Is there a new patch already?
That's what I was trying to tell you. Don't quit yet, because they patch every like 2 weeks. They literally patch this like every 2 weeks. They're really kind of betaing out literally the patches.
Are you going to do another video covering it? Because I actually really liked your video, Q, where you covered the last patch notes. So I'm just saying. If there is another patch, I need you to cover it. Otherwise, I have no idea what's going on. That's you're my source for gaming expertise.
Yeah. I'll get to that. I promise you. All right. I do want to quickly bring us back into the market. The biggest gainers over the last 24 hours are going to be Parallel Avatars, interestingly enough, up 26%. World of Women up 12%, and BYO Pills up 12%. I'm not sure why. Biggest losers are going to be MetaKeys DAO, down 23%. MetaKeys DAO was kind of a proxy for a little bit of like friend tech exposure, right? It had like a friend tech element where you could own the NFT and also get exposure to all the keys. I don't really want to dive deep into that because again, I think they actually rugged that project here in the last like 72 hours. But Checks VV also down 15%, 10KTF down 13%. And what you can take away from that, because I did mention parallel avatars, checks, and 10KTF, is this weird volatility that we're seeing. Like projects are not like running 40% and then maybe over the next week running again another 20% or even holding. It seems to be like there's these sell-offs that happen because they'll go from top gainers to top losers, and that's what we've seen for like the past week that we've been covering majority. I've been keeping these biggest losers and winners for my key holders in Friendtech, and it's like you see the biggest winners and then you see the biggest losers. It's the same project. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's sellers like taking the advantage of like kind of saying, hey, I need liquidity, right? Like we're seeing a pump. Maybe I need to do that. I don't know if it's day traders that are kind of keeping up with this stuff, but yeah, that's at least my experience here. But that's the biggest winners and losers from the day. Any takes there?
I do notice that, like, from the projects that I'm looking at, whether they're art or like Web3 functionality, gaming, what have you, is that like some of the more coveted pieces or the rare items are not for sale anymore. Like they're drying up. I do see a lot. I do see several collectors just picking up stuff on sale at the moment. So I think you're seeing some of that transfer right into certain collections, and it's great to see.
All right, we did get some parallel questions, so let's at least move in there and cover their latest update. So Echo replication is really dope. What's up?
Sorry. Well, before we move on to the next thing, you mentioned World of Women was up. So I was like over here on their X trying to figure out, like, is there some kind of news? And these are the only things that I could find. There's something like patio.wow.art that was recently posted. And then there was this post about new WoW committee with a greater focus on empowering our community of creators. So maybe this is just like, maybe they're putting some more focus on empowering their community and people are amped up about that. I don't know. I couldn't find anything else. I'm just curious if anybody else has any updates on like alpha or anything around World of Women, if it's just like cyclical or if there's actually something new happening.
Jessica Ostrovsky's still here, so I'm gonna eat some crow on that. I just didn't see you commenting here for like the last 30 minutes, so I figured you might have gone and done something else. But speaking of Jessica, I want to drop that link for her latest drop as well. Excited for that. She is. What's the term we're using, Gif? The first poet on base.
Yeah, first poetry, first poem, first poet to mint an NFT on the base blockchain.
There you go.
One of her many acclaims, one of her many accomplishments.
Yeah, and a great friend of the network and channel and community. She's awesome.
Sometimes. Some days.
All right, I'm going to quickly cover this. It's very much in the complexity chasm. We just hit on Huxley. I think Parallel is, again, parallel to them in a lot of ways because of how long that they've been around. So Echo replication is probably the biggest update that they've had for the platform since the game came out. This is going to allow first edition, special edition, and what they call perfect loop, which is like their one-of-one card editions, essentially. That's going to allow them to make other cards and then potentially sell those cards on the open market. There's some implications here as well for the Prime token, because essentially if I'm owning a first edition, and I'll try to briefly touch on this. If I own a first edition card, it's essentially like owning a first edition of when Magic the Gathering put out their first editions of their cards. Well, because it's digital, the players actually get to own those cards. I own a first edition, say, Earthen card. I can then play that card, and the more renown I get with playing the card, the more I actually get to spend to replicate that card. And so let's say Parallel blows up in the future, just like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and they need to create replicated cards, because you can't just have 5,000, 6,000 cards in existence for a people, if you get 100,000 people playing the game. So the players are going to be the ones that actually benefit from this by the ability to replicate. So that's essentially the update here. Echoes is what they're called. I don't necessarily know if I like that name. I think second edition, you were mentioning, GIF, is probably the easier analogy. So now players are able to create second edition cards with this update. So really cool, really far down the complexity chasm now. You're muted, GIF. Got him.
I'm over here just showing off some of my first edition and special edition parallel cards. So if these are like the blue ones, there are the first edition. Those sort of holographics are the special edition. But I guess again, the point is that they are enabling creators to derive some value from their participation by being the ones who are able to generate any additional NFTs of these cards. That's my understanding of the Echo in the most simple terms.
Yeah, and
I don't fully understand how it works yet, but that's just, I think, what it is.
Yeah, basically card owners will be able to accrue what's called renown and pair that with Prime and create replications. So you can see, because it makes you, the players, the arbiter of card supply. Use Prime and in-game experience, aka renown, to create new cards, and they go into a process again. Complexity chasm here, but I'm giving Parallel the benefit of the doubt when it comes to a lot of what they've been building. They've been pulling the right levers. They know what they're doing. And I think Asmodai as well saying last patch was the most balanced. So looks like we're talking about the last patch.
Beg to differ. Super Arsenal also saying second edition sounds lame. Who wants that? Maybe that's why they're calling them Echoes instead.
I would love to hear someone try to explain Echoes to somebody that isn't already familiar with Prime and Parallel.
Well, that's a fair point, because editions are just kind of like a commonly accepted format across many things, and so it's the communication aspect of it is much more optimal.
Our job is to find a little bit of alpha, not financial advice, of course, but Mr. Kvac, actually, I'm curating a little bit for y'all. He was saying that I expect huge opportunities here. My initial notes: special edition cards earn 3 times renown faster than first editions. Spend 800 renown to replicate a card. Surge keys no longer are going to be that relevant in his opinion, and check Prime costs for verse market prices and replicate if profitable. That again, the complexity piece here is going to be the issue. Like, players, are they going to buy first editions, or are they going to buy Echoes and yada yada yada? What the price differences look like. So there's that whole marketplace dynamic that you have to take into account.
I'm guessing like Echoes should still be on Ethereum, right?
I did not see that. It would make sense for them to be on Ethereum, but you don't want to be buying a $5 card and spending $5 in gas.
That's the question, right? Because the floor on the first editions and the special editions would need to go up a little bit more to kind of justify there actually being a market for the second editions on Ethereum.
Yeah. Prodigy saying Q's favorite go-to when he doesn't want to explain something is complexity chasm. Listen, we're doing kind of a variety show, right? Like, we're covering many different things. We got to find a way, GIF, I think, to maybe poll the community and say, hey, do you want like a deeper dive on this? Because we can create those, but it wouldn't make sense to do them on here. What's up, Biggie?
No, I was going to say that the new cliche word for complexity chasm is nuance. So you can use that from now on. There's a lot of nuance in this project.
A lot of nuance. Yeah, buttery. There's a lot of buttery nuance.
All right. Biggie, I did mention earlier that I want your take on this Yamamoto YouTube video that kind of shook the Squiggles community a little bit. I don't think it was like groundbreaking, like people are just, flooring their Squiggles. That Marty, unfortunately, was the one involved with the perfect spectrum.
Yeah, he was a victim. I'm sorry, Marty.
It sounded like he was in a car wreck.
Dude, he lost probably like 20 ETH. I'm guessing that's the difference. Also, the CTO stepping down at Art Blocks, Biggie, I want you to comment on. But I know I'm throwing a lot. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I think like basically Yamamoto, what he did is like reverse engineer the whole blockchain squiggle code to identify what indeed is like a perfect spectrum, right? And like originally, I think the person that found these different squiggles was von Mises, which was the first one to find these different anomalies that Snowfro hadn't accounted for. But when Yamamoto found these before publishing his revolutionary article, he took it upon himself to go and hunt some of these perfect spectrum editions from people that owned them, right? By overpaying for these squiggles. And most people did not they did not know his intention. They did not catch on. And then later on, he published his paper, and you could see that, well, he stands to benefit from this new discovery. Having said that, it is his discovery. He did reverse engineer this, and it is something that you're going to see more and more come up in different generative art projects, right? Because you know, like they're yeah.
Why did his account get terminated?
Whoa.
Okay, but anyways, I was trying to show the video. Yeah, keep going, Biggie.
What happens
I think
if you click on
you're going to see this in different generative pieces, right? I always say slow to buy, slow to sell. You know, things change sometimes, whether it's just a preference for a particular palette or something like this, like a new anomaly is discovered down the line. But that is the nature of like generative art projects sometimes, right? Is that they're completely random, right? And so sometimes you will find things that even the artist did not expect, right? For good or for bad. In this particular case, I think it was a tremendous job by him. And, you know, however people may feel about him having set out to hunt these undiscovered perfect spectrum squiggles before publishing his work, he did do the work, right? And so hats off to him, I guess. You know, a squiggle is a squiggle is a squiggle is a squiggle to me.
Yeah, Yamamoto had a huge YouTube channel, like almost 100K subscribers, and he's claiming it got attacked. I don't know if you saw that, Biggie, but
this is wild.
my channel got permanently deleted this morning. My Chromie squiggle video was attacked. Marty, where's Marty?
Yeah.
Anybody seen Marty since this broke?
It'll be interesting to see what the conversation is like in Marfa, like when I'm over there, to see what people have to say about this, right? Especially because it comes like right at the tail end of the minting of squiggles and the beginning of Heart and Craft, right? So I wonder, you know, don't be so quick to sell your Heart and Crafts, people. You never know.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear what you learned there and have you reporting back to us. I just wanted to pull this up also since we're on the topic. I shared this from the Web3 as well because I saw it and I thought it was interesting. I've never actually seen a squiggle like this. So clearly there's squiggles in the Chromie Squiggles collection that are just very different and unique from ones that you normally see. This one he highlighted as having two very unique properties. All squiggles are made up of circles layered on top of each other. This one has 18,018 circles, the most of any squiggle, and it also cycles over 36,000 hues, the most of any minted squiggle. The theoretical maximum is 38,000 that was never minted. So this is fascinating just because you see the actual amount of variation within the Chromie Squiggles is maybe a lot more than what most people even are aware of.
Yeah, there will eventually be like tarot cards, I'm sure. Squiggle horoscopes down the line. But yeah, that's how deep it goes.
All right, I wasn't going to bring this up today, but I feel like we've touched on some other gaming projects, and I got to play again Rec League last night. I want to drop that link for y'all here in just a second. As far as like getting y'all the information, so Rec League mechs are definitely probably one way to access the game as well as get exposure to the game. There's some ApeCoin involved, but I personally wouldn't touch ApeCoin with how. Like if you don't have any exposure and you're not going to stake, I wouldn't go that route. So buying mechs and buying parts are one way to get exposure. These bounced off of 0.028, so real cheap assets. To be fair, some people that actually revealed their Majestic boxes got like legendary. So you can see that as you go down, the mechs start to get better and better. You can see like, you know, if you kind of zoom in here, you can see the different variations. Like orange indicates that it's a legendary part essentially. So you can see the farther you go down, you get 0.20, you get 0.25. So I do think some people made out really well from this game and from this drop on the boxes if they were able to reveal better mechs.
Can we like tap in and pull up like a couple of the like rarer mechs just to look at them?
Yeah, 100%. All right, so this mech looks like it has some type of rarities, right? So you can jump in. OpenSea Pro, not the best that you can see, but maybe I could share if you on OpenSea. All right, so yeah, if you dive in here and you see a little bit of what's going on, you can see that it has a certain type of head up there that's not legendary, but the remainder of its body is legendary, and those are the parts that you have to craft. So the weapon is definitely one thing to keep in mind. Like if you want to be a gunner mech, you want to have a gun. If you want to be somebody that has a samurai sword, you want to do that. All that good stuff. The companions are also super important, so you can see the companion up here as well. I mean, we're in the window, guys. So let me try something real quick. Let me potentially throw the screen over here. Let me get the window up on this side. And let's see what we can do.
Here we go. Something's happening. Magic in the background. I also, Asmodai, I'm with you, bro. Asmodai's over here saying that he seems to get worse with each patch and on Parallel. I'm with you, man. I'm boycotting until we get a new patch.
All right, I'm going to attempt to share the N-way patch. I don't know if Restream is going to allow it. I wanted to take y'all in the game because the leaderboard again is live, but I'm not sure.
Can you just pull up your gameplay last night just to show? Because you were showing it last night. This boy was streaming last night with Prodigy. Apparently, Prodigy actually beat him.
Yeah, we're not going to show that off. Yeah, guys, I'm going to drop that link. I am streaming different games here on a personal channel. Let me exit the current Rec League game and show this off. So yeah, this is gonna be the YouTube channel that I was streaming from last night. You can see gameplay there. If you guys have any questions related to the game, it's easier for me to kind of answer those on like kind of a one-off basis. Again, it is a fighter game. It has a lot of strategy involved. It's not necessarily the most like movement-oriented fighter that you see sometimes in the line of like Tekken. There's definitely more strategy involved with that. So Biggie, GIF, any questions specifically, man? Otherwise, I probably wouldn't get exposure to the mechs just yet because there's going to be more that are dropped onto or claimed by other apes.
Yeah,
that still haven't done their claim.
My biggest question mark / concern was around the pay to win mechanic, which we kind of addressed on GM Web 3. You know, I think you had a good answer to what could be a possible solution, which is just providing more ways for people who don't have a lot of funds to grind their way to getting really high powered mechs so they can actually compete at the higher levels with the people that are just paying for the high powered mechs. But as you mentioned, they don't really have that yet. So that is a challenge. And to your point about the additional mechs incoming, it'll be really interesting to see how the Bored Ape and the like sort of founder mechs or whatever else those are called are gonna fit into the equation, right? I'm guessing they're gonna be special and powerful, probably more powerful than a lot of the base mechs.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I doubt they would make the Bored Ape mechs just like the shittiest, weakest mechs. So
they're going to be the most legendary for sure. They will be the most legendary.
Jesus.
Along the lines of the Codas, like the Coda mechs that you see out there are legendary. So we did get into the complexity chasm, the nuance of Rec League there for just a second. Y'all, if you have any questions related to the game, I know Quantum's saying I can't transfer my Coda mech to my hot wallet, so I would have to play using my cold wallet. Yeah, that is a tough aspect. Again, if you just want exposure to the game, the mechs are going for like $30 right now. So it's not like the craziest amount you're spending, but you are going to get your ass kicked. There is a really cool mechanic. One of the best things about PvP, in my opinion, at least in the small community we have right now in Web3 gaming, is you actually get to participate in play against, like me and Prodigy got to play against each other. The way that the matchmaking is set up, Prodigy got to play against a Renji, who is like the top 3 player in the world. So it'd be like akin to playing a professional player in League of Legends or something like that. So there's cool elements to that as well. And I love that aspect of the PvP mode where you get to like, again, kind of share in this. You get to tag them on Twitter saying, GG, good game. I'll get you next time.
Yeah, it is fun when you get paired with like people that you know about that are high level. The difference here being that it has nothing to do with your specific skill.
Yeah, that is weird.
Well, because the thing that actually came to mind that was pretty cool was just, I think yesterday I was just playing some casual matches in Rocket League 1v1 and I got paired with Chrome, who's like, I was like, I recognize that fucking name. And Chrome was a professional RLCS player for FaZe Clan for a long time, who like recently retired and is now a coach. And so I'm now getting paired with like ex RLCS players in my normal casual matches. So
All right, I am going
that is skill based. So
did you win?
No, I did score a couple goals and I actually got an early lead, and then he came back and like wrecked me something like 6-2 or something. But hey, I had some solid goals on him.
All right, I'm going to attempt to put us back on the tracks here. Thank you guys for tuning in to NFT Live. Please leave a like if you're here and you appreciate all the info we're giving you, curating here to make the NFT space a little bit less nuanced and a little bit more explainable. Also, Dax was here earlier explaining a lot of what they're doing at ETH Global, so appreciate him as well. Leave a like there. All right, I don't have much here on the Pudgy Penguins front. Are you ready to embark on a journey to a brave new world? This dropped last night. Obviously, no information was dropped, so obviously there's the community kind of speculating on what this could mean. I'm going to trust Luca until he screws up. He's one of the few founders that has shown that he is not taking a misstep. But any thoughts on a brave new world here?
I mean, looking at this, there's something about it that feels very other side. You don't think it's an other side collab, do you?
God, that would be awesome.
There's not going to be any drugs involved, Gif, if that's what you're asking.
It looks like a floating plot of land. I mean, that's what the other
people are speculating on virtual world and stuff like that. So
it could be a mobile game of some kind too. It actually looks very familiar to some mobile games that I've played. So I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time speculating because it's just this is an announcement about future announcements to be announced. Okay, that's like
all right. Look, I like it. I'll give it some rope because again, it is Pudgy Penguins and they've done extremely well. So just to like have a fun game with your community is not the end of the world as long as all right.
Could be. It also looks like there's some kind of treasure hunt, scavenger hunt mechanic happening. So that could be another big part of it.
All right. In my opinion, this is the biggest, and I keep using the word direct because there's all these things that we're doing with NFTs that and DAOs that are interconnected, but no one's really figured it out yet and what the results have of that interconnectedness. Machi's proposal is finished tomorrow. So September 20th, I believe, at 9 p.m. This is going to finish. Right now, the proposal is at 54% for, 45% against. And remember, this is for the ApeCoin sweep of different NFT floors in the Yuga ecosystem and other quote-unquote notable NFTs. The reason I bring this back up is just following it, obviously, but also the fact that Yat Siu came out and put out AIP 297, which looks a lot, and a lot like Machi's proposal. It's essentially Machi's proposal for 800K. So I could kind of go into what he's saying, why we are buying NFT price or NFT floor prices, because we believe it is the simplest, fairest, and least controversial mechanism to buy NFTs, as we do not presume to be able to fairly value our assets, top rare attributes of the various NFT collections. The floor is market driven. So he's explaining why they're buying off the floor. Unlike AIP 304, which is Machi's proposal, which follows a curative approach, 297 does not seek to justify why it purchased X versus Y NFT. Also, the quantum of NFTs purchased is small in relative terms and will have no material impact on the average price per NFTs. For more detail, governance rights to all ApeCoin, calling it a sister DAO. We mean to say that it runs adjacent to the foundation. There's a lot of wording here. Yat's definitely taking this as an opportunity to, I think, slide this proposal on through. Everyone's kind of like, screw Machi. I don't like it. Yada, yada, yada. And then you have Yat, who is
alternative, right?
Is providing an alternative. Exactly.
Yeah, my confusion is like what happens when both of these pass. Like to your point, it's like I guess they're not they're not necessarily contentious. They could be complementary in a way. I'm kind of confused by it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and just also to try and add some more nuance.
Ooh, SSP
to the complexity chasm of this whole situation. In the Machi proposal, there is like a whole other coin being created with its own like DAO governance to basically implement this proposal, and so it does get kind of complicated in terms of how does a proposal like this actually go to work in a DAO within a DAO structure. So I guess, yeah, that's what you're getting into with like the sister. I don't know, but I'm kind of confused by this move. I do understand the idea of giving an alternative to Machi being a controversial figure, but in a way it feels like a cosign because you're basically launching a similar proposal that's just like his. And like, yeah, I get it's less money, so it's less controversial, and because it's Yat Siu, but aren't you also saying like, hey, look, there's actually a lot of great thinking in this proposal that this guy.
I think he is saying that. I do think he is saying that. And here's a look at the actual assets that are up for the proposal to be swept. Right, Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, Kennels, Mochaverse, Cool Cats, World of Women, Pudgies, and Codas. I think it's potentially creating some type of alignment with these other communities, right? Pudgies, World of Women, Cool Cats. It's not enough to create like a huge alignment, like 10 Cool Cats. Like someone could probably go out there and sweep those right now. It's not a ton of money. I think a lot of people are, mad at the Machi proposal because it's $11 million and Yachts is not. So it's about $700,000, $800,000. And to Quantum's point, why not both? Biggie, any thoughts here on this ApeCoin proposal?
I'm curious if
situation.
I do. I'm not obviously well versed or familiar with all of it. I know that it's by Floor Apes and Yuga assets. I'm curious if they've like elucidated on like what they're gonna do with said acquired assets, like what the plan is, or is it just like we're gonna form a DAO and figure it out then?
Yeah, let me go back.
SSP's summing it up, I guess, the way that he sees the difference is that one is for promoting digital art, the other is to bridge NFT communities. So I guess they're similar, but maybe a little bit different, in terms of their objectives. So thanks for that. And Quantum saying, do you think they have some insider info with the collections that will be in the other side? Probably. I mean,
so these are Yacht's words, or at least co-authored. Establishing a community-run vault to hold a diverse collection of NFTs that ultimately would be controlled by ApeCoin holders. So he's creating a vault that is somehow tied into the DAO, at least by this sister DAO. The acquisition of the NFTs as first step could potentially followed by Ape to power the adoption of acquired NFTs in later phases. And further solidify ApeCoin's position as a representative token of Web3 culture.
It's going to be interesting to see how a vault like this works with that many different stakeholders. Because I've heard that there's just like nightmares whenever there's DAOs that have these vaults of NFTs because they're so illiquid that like when you get a bunch of different people that have different needs, sometimes people will need their liquidity out. And then what do you do, right? And it can be a whole... Yeah, I guess, right? You're seeing maybe Noun's DAO is an example of what happens with a situation like that. So like, is that what you're setting up, that type of showdown in the future by creating this vault?
Yeah.
Like,
I just worry that like a lot of people have voted on this, obviously based 100% on like floor price sentiment in their personal bags and see it as maybe a way of like protecting that. And that's all good, but just think through the whole thing, right? Because its purpose is not just going to be that, and so there may be other consequences down the line that you'll have to be prepared to deal with, and that's all. Like,
do you feel like it's kind of like biting the forbidden apple? Like you feel like it's or kind of like
it's an approach, I know like the Lunar DAO from Moonbirds did something of the sort where we've been quietly buying up floor-birds for some time now. I forget what the total amount was budgeted for, right? But I think, like, it can't hurt to try. It's just, again, like when you do step into that and you vote for it, like, understand that it's not just about, resuscitating your fucking floor price. That's just all I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it'll have a positive effect for how long, I don't know.
In the
but
short term,
just start thinking longer term about how you can utilize those assets, in a positive way to serve your community, to serve your DAO, right? And know that there's going to be different fucking opinions and that you're going to have to deal with, because things can turn ugly really quick, and so you just got to be a good citizen and, like, be a team player, right? Like, if you voted for this, vote for whatever comes down the line as well, right? Don't just take to Twitter and whine. Just heads up,
The implications to ApeCoin, I love that it's being talked about here, and we've had the DAO discussion for the last week and a half with Nouns DAO and the longevity of it. But the implication for ApeCoin here is so ambiguous, man, because it's like, okay, is the only use case of Ape to spend Ape on things? Because then it feels like, yeah, I guess you can make it a argument about the velocity of money, and, like, if you get it, in the hands of more people will need to buy it, and it just feels like Ape is going out the door for these purposes, and you hope to God somehow the adoption happens and people start, buying Ape. The Ape portion of this is just a whole different convo, in my opinion. Like, the NFT floor prices, yes, and NFTs, I think you're spot on, Biggie. Like, don't buy something in the hopes of, like, running up your floor price in the short term. It's more ApeCoin's kind of involvement here, because now you see $2 million proposals. Obviously Machi's is huge, but now you have another $1 million proposal that you're sweeping NFT floors with, and the sentiment just isn't good around Ape right now. And is spending Ape the narrative that gets us back on the right track? I'm not sure.
We'll see what happens, man.
SSP, who has a lot of hands-on experience with the ApeCoin DAO specifically, tossing in a lot of great info. So shout out to you over here, just adding value in the chat. To all of y'all adding value in the chat, but especially SSP on this topic, saying satellite DAOs, sister DAOs, sub DAOs are all experiments to spin off ideas and projects from the main ApeCoin DAO, which still has a bureaucratic proposal process.
So Quantum saying, isn't the point of Ape DAO to spend the ApeCoin? Yes, that's their mission, and it's a super contentious mission, and it was set up so that we didn't have to deal with regulation on the Yuga front. So the difference being that ApeCoin has consistently gone down for months and months and months, and I'm not trying to get emotional about this, but I'm in Yuga. It is by far my biggest bag on both the NFT side and the ApeCoin side, and nothing is being done about trying to figure out what are these things. I see Rec League being used. I see that these things are going forward. It's just when you introduce these large expenditures like the special counsel getting $20,000 a month, it's like, yeah, the point was to fucking spend the ApeCoin. But yeah, it might be dead in 2 years if we continue on the same route. So yes, in one situation, the mission was to spend ApeCoin, but you have to figure out something that's not Candyland. That's like, hey, we're just going to give grants to everybody. Like, that's what literally Nouns is just going through. We just saw the evisceration, the chopped in half community that Nouns DAO that had the same exact mission went through. So and I love that SSP is bringing that in, because that's what's happening with ApeCoin. They're not doing it in like one full movement, 50% of the community leaves. They're saying, all right, motherfuckers, you don't want to vote in this stuff so that we can pass some things? We're going to create sister DAOs, and we're going to try to get this passed through so that we can start getting things done with Ape. So I don't know. I'm definitely, I need to put my desk up like Kane Mayfield. But
yeah, he needs to stand up.
What a show. It makes no sense. Isn't the point of Ape DAO to spend ApeCoin?
Well, they don't. Well, part of the issue again that we've addressed here is they don't really have a fully defined mission at all, and it's a challenge, right? Not only do they not have a like, how are we going to do this sustainably? They don't really have a very fleshed out why, other than they're supposed to give grants. So yeah, they got a lot of work to do over there. It's exciting to see how this goes. We'll be following it. Hey, for all y'all hanging out with us, thanks for being here. And if you haven't smashed the like, we'd really appreciate it if you would. It's Tech Tuesday. This is NFT Live. Nifty Q's getting heated. It's all right. It's a great convo, and happy to be here as we figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely figuring it out on the DAO front, and people have all of these like the high ideas that like we can consistently drive some sort of value without having some sort of back end where money is coming in. It makes zero sense.
Yeah, and
that's a quick way.
You got a mostly cosign from SSP over here. So how about that?
Yeah, dude, a fool and his money are easily parted, and that's what's happening with ApeCoin right now. That is a fool's statement. It is. Where ApeCoin is right now.
Fool in a DAO is soon fleeced.
There you go. And dude, 2 years from now, have that sentiment when so many syncs are set up and all of these different things. But right now, like that's your sentiment. And you got to be fucking grinding, setting up all these different ways that you can bring value to ApeCoin instead of saying here. It's handouts, and it makes zero sense as the DAO is structured right now, as the coin has no levers and all of this different stuff. So I'm sorry for getting up on that pedestal. It's wild.
Necessary sometimes, Q.
It's your show, Q. This is your show.
It's our show. It's our show. I'm going to bring it back to some lighter news. I think SBF's father was unhappy with his salary at FTX US, so he emailed SBF asking for money, and then pulled the "I'm telling your mother, dad" move and looped SBF's mom into the email thread. This was the actual statement from SBF's father when he learned that he wasn't getting $1 million a year. Sam, I don't know what to say here. This is the first I've heard of the $200K a year salary, putting Barbara on this.
Wow,
Barbara.
And now you see why his parents were the first ones down there on the island with him when all this was going. Dude, they've been in cahoots in this whole situation, man. They've been in on it from the jump. I'll tell you, the book that Apple just acquired will be made into a movie. This saga is going to continue for years. This is a crazy story.
It's like Arrested Development.
It's a crazy. It is. Yeah. Like there's a banana stand somewhere. And if you're looking for
there's money in it.
Where did the billions of dollars go? There's a beanbag chair somewhere in the Caribbean islands. It's stuffed full of fucking crypto keys and cash.
Here's the thing. I don't even look at Prodigy saying Marty's going to make Q explode. I literally could care less. I'm like, Marty and Yuga and BAYC, like, I don't even look at the comments anymore. Like, this is the problem with making yourself a boy cried wolf, is because nobody cares anymore. Like, I literally don't even look at them. Like, they don't even ring with me. So it's not pissing me off by any means. I wish that he wasn't the boy cried wolf, because he's got a lot of great takes, and I would listen to him if 99.90,000% of them weren't bad.
You got to take a lot of at bats to get those home runs. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. All right. Last topic that I had here. This is another fun one, I guess. Like just lighthearted one that we could kind of.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming, right, Q?
What happened here, Biggie?
Same thing that happens every time, Q. A celebrity tries to muscle their fucking shit into our fucking territory, and
Jesus, who's the NIMBY now?
I'm a fucking NIMBY when it comes to these dick bags, dude. It didn't sound like, I don't know. Again, every now and then you do get somebody that earnestly wants to partake in the space, and I think by now you should have a fine-tuned antenna to detect the bullshit from the earnest ones. And this one in particular, come on, bro. I'm sorry.
So you can see Espresso here. Museum of Mahomes fails to mint out its 3K supply. Floor is now below mint, which is unfortunate because the sports narrative is actually getting better on a lot of fronts. So Rare is doing a lot of good things with the Premier League, and DraftKings is doing some cool things with Rainmakers. And that's a cool fucking narrative for NFTs. So this is hopefully this will just be forgotten quickly.
It'll, you know what? I'll put it under
You just gotten friend tech.
Yeah, I'll put it in the column.
You would have done better in friend tech, I bet you.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we can put this one, I feel like, firmly in the column of things that we called correctly, because we brought this up briefly, looked at it, and said this doesn't really add up. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Who's this for? Why is this a thing? And there you go. That's the result. Only 230 of them minted out of 3,000. That
tells you something. That sends a message. I hope
great.
the rest of the people thinking about coming into this space see that. Take note. Maybe ask some questions, do some research.
Who was the one? Was it Miguel? Wait, who was the one that? No, it was who's the guy that punched Rihanna? Jeez, Chris Brown. Chris Brown.
Crazy.
Didn't he do a 10K drop that only sold out like a couple hundred?
He's in the pantheon of like bad drops.
I'm sure.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Yeah, Super Arsenal saying I want some EPL collectibles, not gambling NFTs. I'm with you on that, actually. I the thing that slowed me down from getting into the fantasy sports trading collectibles so far is, first of all, NBA Top Shot, I think, set a bad precedent and kind of a bad taste in my mouth with the way that they handled things. And then like where that's gone since it had its height. And then how it seems like there's a lot of different competing platforms who are all trying to be like, there's Super Rare or something like that. There's DraftKings or something. There's Stake. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot, and I don't know like where's the one really legit place that's going to have the longevity yet. Kind of like many other NFT projects or, you know, platforms or altcoins. It's like sometimes you don't know which are the ones that are actually going to last and be around. And I kind of feel that way right now with a lot of these sports collectibles. Like I'm not sure which ones of them are going to have the longevity yet.
Rainmakers is doing a great job. I just think you have to be into sports gambling. Like if you're not, this is my thing with Rec League and Parallel. Whenever I'm talking about these games and people are like, oh, I should play that. It's like, do you like card games? Because just because it has NFTs doesn't mean you're going to like card games. So yeah, do you play fantasy football or do you get into that type of stuff? Because
not really. I've dabbled with EPL, like fantasy English Premier League, a little bit, but I do like sports cards. I like collectibles. I like the act of like, you know, like following teams, collecting players, following the league, following new players, upcoming players, and like I like the more collectible aspect and the idea of like managing teams as much. So yeah. I'm not as interested in the fantasy aspect as like the authentic sports collectibles of like what are going to be the Messi,
I see what you mean,
the Jordan rookie cards. You know what I mean? Like where are those that really matter, that are going to matter?
Yeah. I guess that's fair. Like DraftKings has done a phenomenal amount of volume here in the last like 2 months, like top of the charts across the entire space. But if you're not into like the daily kind of betting and all that stuff and looking more for the collectibles, I don't know if that exists.
They have a clear purpose though, right? Like that's why. Whereas these other guys, that's the problem, you know, like I don't have a problem with like big brands or big celebrities coming into the space. It's just like have a fucking clear purpose. Don't just come here like and expect to be like welcomed with open arms because it's you, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. You can go sell tennis shoes for that, or I don't know, something else. For NFTs, like I do think the functionality or what it is that you're going to be bringing into the space needs to be very clear and genuine, in my opinion, because you know the space has been burnt so many times by just money grabs, and so we are very suspicious, you know. And I saw this whole Mahomes thing coming up, and Obviously, I'm not a fan of any of that, so I just let it go. But from what I saw, I mean, I know he did a couple of spaces with some key figures and probably made some promises about how they were going to take over the space. But there's your answer, you know.
Yeah, and what happens to the Museum of Mahomes now? You know. Anyway, SSP.
There's always Burn Island.
Yeah, SSP coming in here saying, talking about Rec League, the CEO just submitted an AIP for 100K in prize money. What say you, Q? I mean, you're a Rec League player. You could win and sink it back into more ApeCoin, bro.
Didn't they just have like multi-million-dollar mint? Can't they just use funds from that?
But they need money.
But did they just minted? They just had their sale. Like, how much did they raise? I think we looked at it. It was like 25 million or something like that.
But if people are giving out free money,
SSP, what did I don't know if you know, but what did Rec League actually sell out for? Because they sold out a good amount. They didn't get to the 30K mark, but they were up there. They raised like a ton.
12,000 NFTs at different prices, right? Something like that.
Yeah. No, I hate that. Just spend your own fucking money. But here's the tie-in. Like, they're doing a bunch of things for BAYC, right? And they expect their back to be scratched too. 100K is not the worst. So if I'm passing any proposal, it might be that one out of these three.
I hate it, but I'm gonna pass it. All right.
You got to spend something. I don't want to like sit here and say like, oh, we need to like hoard everything. I get the idea, but $11 million worth, even though there's going to be some staking related to what Machi's got kind of set up, it's very dangerous.
How long are we going today?
That's it.
Dude, you should bring up. I got a couple of things there for you.
Yeah, let's hit them.
I can bring up, it's a little more. So Matt Kane coming out with Anons. It's going to be minted in waves, auction waves. Fantastic project. It looks amazing. They are like different portraits, like from way back when. He's got a video in the homepage about his whole process and why he's doing it. I think it's fantastic. He's obviously one of the movers and shakers in the generative art space, always pushing the envelope. Very much like, Death Beef and all of them. It's really cool to see this. I am going to be tracking this closely. It's a really, really cool project. You guys should look into it just to see what's going on, what's happening, right? The other one that just minted out last night is this one from Braindrops by Clown Vamp. Detective Jack, if you recall, he had a similar series on Tezos. This one is now on Ethereum, and it's basically generative AI art that also guides you through clues of a detective story. So basically those 500 pieces, you can research all of them and put them together that tell a narrative, right? Like a noir kind of detective story, which looks really, really enticing and engaging. Really cool. Again,
so it's kind of like they're all kind of like still frames of a like high-end art storyboard.
And apparently, like, some people that have gone really deep into the rabbit hole have been able to connect it to the Tezos narrative. So I'm looking forward to checking out the story down the line. I'm sure somebody will do a write-up on it. But again, artwork that's very engaging, right? That commands your attention and dedication to it. So really, really cool stuff.
It's interesting. There was like a moment when the narrative, the meta, was everybody talking about storytelling NFTs.
It's still there. It's sleepy.
Well, that's when like ELF with Emergent Long Fiction, ELF, and your boy, the Cock Punches came out, and it didn't seem like, even though like everybody was talking about storytelling NFTs, like there was much there. But now we've seen the Skulls of Lucci with Sam Spratt, this recent situation. This, to me, like, now I feel like we're actually seeing storytelling NFTs. And nobody's really even talking that much about storytelling NFTs. I just think it's interesting that's not
very much like
but there is that happening.
I think it's very much like the music NFTs, right? Like they're in the periphery, and everybody's waiting for it to have that watershed moment, right? It'll come. I'm confident that it will. But a lot of these pieces
That's what I'm saying.
are
Dude,
going to be those historical
huge.
ones, right? Yeah,
Dude, the Sam Sprat thing was huge.
Yeah,
massive.
Except people I still think aren't like framing it in that particular way, right? Like storytelling NFTs, right? But it'll come very much like, for example, people don't label Def Beef's like audio NFTs as music NFTs, right? Because it's not like a song, right? So I think like there's a lot of experimentation going on in the space, both in those different camps, and it's in the periphery. Something you should just keep, your eye out for, because the people that are doing this innovative stuff right now are the ones that are gonna get a lot of that historical, provenance that we like to talk about in NFT space, right?
How many of the Def Beef auction seats did you get?
Oh man, I could not partake. I wouldn't, like, honestly, it was very tempting, but I would not partake unless I was able to go down to Patagonia and claim it in person, in the flesh. Like, I know that they're doing delegation for people that are unable to go, which is a little bit, I don't like that. Like, I think you should suffer through it, go through the adventure, be there in person to claim it. But I get it. Like, some people are going to win that and they're not going to go there. They're going to delegate it to somebody else. And how cool that they're going to have that experience, right? So be it. Heck, if somebody wants wants me to go and claim it for them, I might consider it.
GIF was about to slink out of his chair there. Guys, we've gone an hour and 30. We usually like to keep it a little bit shorter than this, so we are going to get out of here. We will be back tomorrow. I believe Jessie Atrofsky might be coming on tomorrow, so we will potentially have her. Biggie's going to be.
And I'll try to join you. I'll try to join tomorrow. Like, no promises, but I'd love to. One last hurrah before, especially since I'm going to be missing on Thursday. I'll try to join you guys tomorrow. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I love it, man. All right, I'm going to go play some Rec League here. The window's about 20 minutes till close, and I will be streaming tonight as well on this channel. I just dropped it in here in the chat, so you guys can check that out. I also dropped the other two links that Biggie just talked about as well, and Nons.art brain drops. If we know anything in the last 2-3 months, I mean, the whole time he's been here, he's had some great calls. So definitely check that out, at least to like
bring up that last one too that I put you, the Harmy Rayner one, the mesh for Marfa. That's also an incredible collaborative piece that experimental that he's going to be releasing in Marfa. So basically when you check in on Marfa, you're going to get your little card with your name or whatever, but you'll be able to scan that with all the different people you meet. And basically this protocol is going to be tracking all those interactions. And in the end, it's going to generate an art piece based on like everybody's interaction in Marfa, and people there will be able to claim. I don't know if it's going to be like, like each piece is going to have like its own, like that's going to be the final piece, and then it's going to be sliced into different NFTs, or if each one's going to be different. But it's a really interesting new dynamic that's being experimented with. And again, it's like Marfa and generative artists like leading this charge. And I think it's going to be fantastic. This is the guy that did Fontana. He just recently did Dragons Reverse, like also a real innovator in the space. And I encourage you to keep tabs in it, because I think it's a first, and he's a really talented artist. So if it's good, it's something to hold. I'm looking forward to partaking in it myself. I'll let you guys know how it plays out.
All right, brother. Looking forward to seeing you here potentially tomorrow. I'm excited for your Marfa weekend. I'm going to be living vicariously through you. Guys, thank you for tuning into NFT Live today. Again, we will be back tomorrow. Web3 is going to be hosting the GM Web3 Morning Spaces with Gifted. We're going to immediately jump into NFT Live as we do. Be on the lookout for the rehashes. We're doing those in video form as well for y'all. Gif, I'm going to let you take us out. Again, appreciate y'all, our Vibe, our tribe.
That's it, man. The rehash will be out in the next hour. And a lot of people are loving them. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, go ahead and do so. And the likes mean a lot. So thank you for that. Our Vibe, our tribe. We'll see you tomorrow.